The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by SIDEBAR, its guests, callers, and advisors are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS Verizon Media Group. SIDEBAR, a 103.5 The Beat podcast, is a production of IlTV Studios and may not be reproduced or represented, in part or in its entirety, without the express written consent of Verizon Media Group. SIDEBAR is the intellectual property of Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2024. All rights reserved.
Welcome to SIDEBAR 103 The Beat podcast, powered by IlTV. I'm Stephen Hanna, and today we have with us Mr. Derek Smith, author of The Compliance Blueprint. Mr. Smith, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, for our listeners and our viewers at home, I want to ask you why. Well, I have several questions I want to ask you, but let's start with the first question, right? Which is, what inspired you to write this book? And then I think that will lead us into our deeper questions.
Sure. Simply what inspired me to write the book was the onset of COVID-19 and the need to be useful. That's simply put, the need to be useful. The reality was the world was changing in financial services. The requirements were adjusting. It almost felt weekly. And I felt that I had the experiences as being firstly an external auditor at a Big Four firm, then moving on to a top 4 financial institution in the world for about 4 years, and then having the opportunity to work in a law firm, a corporate service environment, that I can lend useful tips to assist my colleagues, both seasoned and new to the industry, and how to help in this time of change and uncertainty.
So what were some of the, I'm not going to use the word issues, what were some of the things that you were seeing developing, changing at the time that made you say, these need to be addressed directly and before it becomes too late?
So one of the key things I saw change, and I think before I state the answer to that, I always like to provide context. The context was 2018, a suite of financial regulations within the Bahamas changed. It required certain organizations, certain professional entities to be now under scope of these regulations, which they were not privy to before. So when you look at that, that's July 2018, between July 2018 and October of 2018, you're talking about only 18 to 24 months between that point in time and the onset of COVID-19 and all of the changes that occurred. Persons were not adequately stress tested within their new environments. That created a gap and an opportunity to be useful.
When you talk about compliance, in what areas would this have been necessary? And like, what are some of the industries this affected or impacted?
No problem. So you're talking about your banks and your trust companies. So when people say I'm a private banker, right? Or you're talking about your law firms. You're talking about your precious metals. So all of the jewelry stores. You're talking about your land development areas. Persons don't take really into consideration that even your realtor were now under certain regulations that they weren't necessarily required to follow before that time. All of these circumstances required changes, and these changes could not necessarily be confirmed to be right or wrong by regulators within a matter of the 2-year scope.
Because so I think when people hear compliance, as most persons, you tend to think of big money situations. So you think about banks, you think about, like you said, investment, you think about gaming, because those are people who get regulators coming in and saying you have to do things a certain way. And so that's where that compliance element comes in. When you mention precious metals, so we talk about jewelry, and then you say real estate.
Yes.
This moves from beyond just, this is only for people who make above 6 figures a year, to this impacts
Me and you.
right everyone. Well,
Yeah.
regular broke people like Steven, right?
That's it. There we go.
Right. And so for that, for the listeners, for the viewers, I guess what they want to know is the not just the importance of compliance, but like in what areas would the compliance may be lacking, or they weren't able, because of the short amount of time between 2018 and 2020, that they may not have been able to, I guess, be adequate. Or
So I'll put it like this. Certain industries were built
right.
on a gentleman's handshake. And I know you, I know your mom, I know your dad. We went to university together, whether it was here or away, we can do business. Clients required that we had to trust the person, but you still have to verify certain things. That's the simplest way to put it. So if I'm going to buy some land, yes, I've known Stephen for 15 years, but do I really know Stephen? Right? Is there any negative media about Stephen that is out there that he decided not to tell me, and because he knows I don't not read a particular gazette?
Right,
yeah.
All right.
So that's the simplest way to place it.
Okay, so we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive deeper into compliance, as well as what exactly is the compliance blueprint, and how, for lack of a better term, the compliance culture in the Bahamas. All right?
Sounds good.
You are watching and listening to Sidebar 103 to Beat podcast, powered by IlTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, the IL Cares Foundation invites you to our Back to School giveaway on August 23rd at the University of the Bahamas, Poinciana Drive entrance. Join us for a day of free school supplies, food, and fun as we help prepare students for a successful school year. We are also going to be on the Family Islands on August 23rd from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. All are welcome, so come on down and support the community with IL Cares. At IL Cares, we care.
Introducing Hands for Hunger's The Budget Gourmet, the sizzling new cooking show where 5-star flavor meets everyday ingredients. From pantry staples to farmers markets finds, join Chef Mo as we turn local, low-cost ingredients into gourmet magic, one dish at a time. Want your brand on the table? We're now inviting sponsors to be a part of this delicious journey. Get in early and let your name shine where flavor meets finesse. The Budget Gourmet, everyday ingredients with a gourmet twist.
The Budget Gourmet. We're making it sweet, low-cost meals you can't defeat. Tastes so good, it makes you move. Hands for Hunger is in the groove. The Budget Gourmet.
Welcome to Sidebar 103 to Beat podcast, powered by IlTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. I'm here today with author Derek Smith, author of The Compliance Blueprint. Let's make sure I say the right words. We're talking about compliance in the Bahamas. The culture within, because before we took the break, you were talking about there's a lot of gentleman's agreement, a lot of handshakes. How concerned as a person are you often about the level of our attitude towards compliance with what is the regulation or how things should be handled within the country?
And you say we, our. Clarify that to me so I can answer
No, I
through
mean,
the right lens.
so I'm saying, as a person, as the author, Derek Smith, do you often walk into a business, perhaps a financial institution, perhaps another business, and say, I wonder if these persons are following the guidelines and regulations set out for public safety or for public benefit?
Sure. So, again, I am that compliance professional, risk professional, that thinks beyond what is understood or said to be a guideline.
Right.
I think from a risk position, what are the risks, and am I or the organization mitigating the risk? The reason why I open like that is because if I conceptualize through that lens, the guideline is just the parameters. I can then create a culture, or I'm looking for a culture if I walk into an organization that speaks to risk versus a rule, guideline approach.
Right.
As a lot of our regulators in Bahamas are actually doing, and I'm very proud of them. As a matter of fact, they're ahead of a lot of regulators throughout the world, especially countries that offer financial services at the level in which we offer and the type of nuances that we provide.
Right.
We're 40 out of 40 of the Financial Transaction Task Force, Action Task Force, FATF. There are only a handful of countries that can say they are. We should be proud of it. Yes.
Right.
Which means that 40 recommendations that came out in 2012 roughly, and we are compliant or largely compliant with 40 of those recommendations.
Right.
That's a badge of honor. So when I walk into organizations, I see that through the different policies and procedures that I encounter, and I'm excited.
Right. So now, when you say that the guidelines, yeah, there are rules, but those are the parameters, right? I'm reminded of the one law class that I took where you can look at the letter of the law or the spirit of the law.
Hey.
What's the point of this thing? What are we actually trying to address? And then from there, then you read the text, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems as though you're saying when it comes to compliance, that is how persons should go about it. So if there's a rule about how money is to be, for example, money to be sent from island to island or from country to country, the reasoning is, what are we trying to prevent? What is the risk that we're trying to prevent? Is it money laundering? Is it
fraud?
Is it money being lost or taking too long to arrive one place to another? And from that standpoint, then your compliance is going to be like, well, this also could be an issue. This other thing could be an issue. So you start looking around and you're using it as a guideline, a parameter, saying, well, by law we only do this much, but to prevent any sort of this, we're going to do that.
That's correct.
And you're saying that is how you feel. You feel a general sense of safety when you walk into businesses that this is happening.
Yes.
What do you say to persons who are like all this red tape, this stopping business from happening?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you say to those persons?
I say to those persons that who have that particular position, they encountered the wrong risk and compliance professional. One, or they're not listening
Right.
to what that particular risk and compliance professional is trying to create. I have the position that culture eats strategy for lunch, and those are not my words, but I agree with that.
Right.
Culture over strategy, culture over framework. It doesn't matter what policies and procedures you have, right? If the culture is not set, understood in a certain direction, you will have issues. I believe that my colleagues and I attempt to create a culture where persons understand the risk and then apply based on those set of facts in the front of them. This is why, for example, when an operation leader says, just give them a checklist, I'm in disagreement. I don't think it should be a checklist.
Right.
A checklist causes the client to feel, oh my gosh, this is a lot of things.
Right.
If you walk into X Bank and I have a mortgage with X Bank and I've been updating my IDs for that particular account, there has to be some level of risk considered that I should not have to provide another pictorial ID
Right.
and another
Oh,
address proof, right?
Or you
To
recently
open
you had to recently go to a bank, I see.
well, you know,
Because that happens.
that's
Where,
perplexing.
yeah, because you're like, I've been to this bank for this many years.
Yes.
You have my passport on record.
Yeah.
You have my driver's license on record. You have my national insurance on record. You still need me to bring it in to open up a business.
Another account. Yeah.
But you have all my information.
What I would suggest, if their procedures allow,
Right.
what I would suggest is what was the risk rating of that client?
Okay.
If that client, for example, is a high risk client
Then yeah.
or a PEP,
Right.
if you're coming into me after a year to ensure that I meet my regulatory requirements, right? I'm gonna ask you for one or two things. I'm gonna check some things out for you.
Right.
However, I have to look at it through a lens that I'm only trying to mitigate risks. If you're telling me that I set an appointment to review, there's no reason why we can't do a screening, a negative media screening, and a sanctions screening before you come and fill out the documents.
Right.
I
Save us
prep
all
your
some time.
file.
Right.
Save us all some time. These are little changes that can occur that can create a better environment and experience for the client. That's why I said I'm the type of compliance officer that doesn't think about, oh my gosh, did I do this? I did that. You can think about when, how, and how it impacts the client.
And see, when you talk about some people just want to create a list, I'm of the belief that the list may cause problems because whereas the list is there to guide you, there are times where people just fall into laziness and they're like, I was told to do this, this, and this.
Correct.
I'm not doing anything in between.
Well, let's look at it though. You pull up my NIB number.
Yes.
You see that I have X amount of accounts.
Right.
You see when I open those accounts. As I noted before, if you ask yourself, is this a low-risk client? So within my policies, low-risk clients have to be reviewed every 5 years. If it's a 4-year point or 3-year point, you can ask this simple question to the client, right? Have any of your particulars changed and can you attest to that? If they note that,
Yeah.
and you've already done your screening before, you could have an idea, hey, they either lying to me or it legit.
Yeah.
If it's legit, let's go on. A simple no.
Right.
Client is under the low threshold of X amount of days, we
Right.
can go on with life.
Yeah. There's no need to go through this long procedure.
No.
And then I also feel, because see, I know you're thinking of it in terms of compliance officers, and I maybe I know a handful or two, but they might be of a different, what the word is, ilk
Yeah.
than the rest of
estimation,
society.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, because what I like to do is I like 4 persons from different backgrounds on the show so that persons can be otherwise, because exposure is everything, right?
Indeed.
Now,
Indeed.
except for payment. Payment is better than exposure. But generally speaking, the more we're exposed to, the more we see the world differently,
Indeed.
right? So
Our
like,
experiences shape us.
right. And so like, it sounds like it's something that rich people always say, but then you go to England and you see, oh, wait, this is what part of Ski Dock's supposed to look like. It's supposed to look like this square, like Leicester Square is supposed to look like how Bay Street look, and they're supposed to look like that. And then you realize there's so much more we can do. You go to Dubai and then you say, oh, everything they're doing on the sand, we could just do that with water and have also, so exposure to these various things changes your viewpoint. And so when you talk about compliance, I'm thinking about, although there is a specific legal framework of what a compliance officer is, there are ways that in regular jobs, persons need to be, okay, what is the risk? Are you being compliant in what is it in making sure that you meet the regulations and all that stuff of your business? And it may be something as simple as we make sandwiches. I work at a fast food restaurant, I make
Yes.
sandwiches.
Yes.
There's a reason why they want you to treat the food this way. There's a
Yes.
reason why you don't store this next to that.
Yes.
Understanding what the risk is that you're mitigating
Mhm.
automatically helps everybody, and it changes the culture, because now they're operating from the standpoint of it's not enough to not put lettuce next to raw meat.
Mhm.
If we know that we are just trying to preserve the integrity of the lettuce,
Indeed.
we're also not going to put it next to the oven.
Mhm.
We're not going to put it on the ground. Like
Yes.
certain things, although they wouldn't be written, they're there. And so in my mind, that when we talk about the culture of compliance, all right, in a positive way, like I like the fact you're saying, well, let's look at what the risk is. Let's look at what the problem is that we are trying to address.
Sure, indeed.
And then we work our way from that, because, yeah, don't put it there. But if we don't put it there, we shouldn't put it, clearly we don't put it by the bathroom.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? And
Indeed.
so, like, these things that go without saying, my concern with lists is particularly, you have persons, like I said, they'll look at the list and they'll say, it only said this. And therefore, that's my problem.
So I have a different viewpoint.
Okay.
The guidelines,
Mhm.
the legislation sets the minimum requirement.
Right. Oh, so you could excel.
You do whatever you want past it.
Right.
It's a minimum.
Right.
Unfortunately, and I've had this experience, and I'm sure that some of my former colleagues at a particular, tier one law firm, right? We always had very robust conversations about this. Show me it in the legislation, right? If it's not in the legislation, why are we doing it? And I always say to persons that compliance is best practice, right? And best practice is based on a collective experience
Right.
that the law catches up with. And that's just the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
In saying that, we teach to be proactive versus reactive. It's a good feeling. And let me change it. I'll actually show you how it's a good business case. People say compliance stops you from making money. I actually think that compliance makes you money in the long run.
Yeah.
It makes you good money. It makes you clean money. It makes money that is more likely not going to be exposed to litigation.
Right. Say where
To
this come
spend
from.
all the money you just made
On the lawyers.
on the lawyers
So you don't lose it. And more.
and your reputational risk, but you can't necessarily put a value on.
Right.
Compliance is proactive in that regard. And I think if that conversation is articulated and that message is coined to the business correctly, they would understand. I had no fines in the last 10 years. Let's place that into quantity. I was able to keep X amount of hundreds of thousands of dollars in my kitty by not having fines.
Right.
It all depends on the message.
The weird thing is when you said I didn't have any fines in this, I don't think that we even look at those things. We tend to only see when, well, first of all, the only regulatory body that I can think of is IRCA. Off the top
Under
of my head.
yes, but
Right.
you have the central bank, you
Right.
have Securities Commission,
Right,
you have
yes,
the ICB,
yes, right.
right?
And
Gaming
so-
Commission.
Now, you'll see when IRCA finds somebody, but I don't necessarily see when central bank finds somebody.
We could talk about that when you're ready.
Okay.
Because I'm in other countries,
Right.
right? Where when you do get fined, it's a big public pronouncement.
Right. And so you know what? Let's take a quick break. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive in even deeper. You are watching and listening to Sidebar 103 podcast powered by IlTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Paradise Premium Foods, where exceptional taste meets everyday convenience. Right in the heart of Hurricane Hole Plaza, whether you're planning a beachside brunch, an intimate dinner, or simply restocking your favorites, we offer only the finest selection of local and imported goods, handpicked for quality, freshness, and flavor. At Paradise Premium Foods, shopping is effortless, service is personal, and every visit feels like a treat. From gourmet meals to go to organic essentials and indulgent treats, this is your neighborhood market elevated. Live well. Eat better. Discover Paradise Premium Foods, now open at Hurricane Hole Plaza, Paradise Island. Paradise Premium Foods. Taste the difference.
Edenwell has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madera Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay Eden well.
Welcome back to Sidebar 103 to B podcast, powered by IlTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. I'm here with Derek Smith, author of The Compliance Blueprint. We were talking about, I work in media, the newspapers cover it. Every time something happens, IRCA finds somebody for not being compliant, for not following regulations, for even something as simple as you tried to adjust the price, but you didn't put it out long enough for everybody to know. That makes the newspapers, so we're aware of that. But these other regulatory agencies that regulate other facets of life that may impact us, I don't necessarily hear when they find anyone. Is it public knowledge that they're finding people and I'm just not reading the right, journals, or what is it exactly?
So if you're looking through the lens of the Bahamas, it is public knowledge. You have to know where to find it. So if you go on the Security Commission of the Bahamas website and you do a drop down, you will see regulatory positions, or you see fines or judgments, and they will indicate what judgments and fines are. The same opportunity is available at the Insurance Commission of the Bahamas. Okay. If you look at their new website and you check, and you will see any particular judgments, legal judgments, those are all there. Or removal of a particular licensee, that's all there. However, it's not required to be a public pronouncement versus some of the other territories within the Caribbean, where if you get a $2,000 fine, everybody knows you get a $2,000 fine.
But so in my mind, I would think that it would be helpful, because the whole purpose of a fine isn't necessarily to bankrupt you, but it's punitive. It's like, okay, you did this wrong thing, this is the punishment. But if it's like you said, if it's a $2,000 fine, regular people can afford a $2,000 fine. If somebody say, give me $2,000 or you're going to jail, I'll fine $2,000.
Yep.
If you're telling me a multi-million-dollar company get a $2,000 fine, that is not going to necessarily change their behavior in any way, shape, or form.
Yes.
The real change is when I know that the public is going to say, oh, well, this person was fined for this, so now do I want them to handle this? And so they have to show the public where they've changed in that regard.
Indeed.
I would think that would be the purpose of it. So,
You're right.
I don't even know what can be done. Why is that not in place? What would be the purpose?
Some people would posit the position that that's our competitive advantage.
For whom? Who is an advantage?
Well, I'm not trying to be
right because it
controversial, but that's a competitive. Honestly, it's a competitive advantage. I sit in boardrooms. Okay, I sit in consultancies. The difference between what I'm choosing, let's not use the Bahamas. I'm choosing Turks and Caicos versus choosing St. Lucia, is their regulatory regime. We call it how easy it is to do business within the country.
Right. Easy,
I would say, is a connotation, right? For what can I do
and get away with it.
You say that.
No, because you hear persons all the time saying the
ease of doing business, right? Or the lack of ease.
Right.
Now, don't let me wrong. There are certain aspects that we can get better at.
Right.
We can move from positioning automation versus digitization and not understanding the difference and selling it as one.
Right.
We can move from that. Okay? We could use AI as a tool to assist, but still have humans
We need-
make
oh my-
decisions, right? People get scared of this type of topic because it's not good for politics, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, I detest when I go into an organization, whether that I walk into a bank and I see you have space for 7 tellers, you have 1.5 tellers, and everything that I want to do, you say, oh no, go to the ATM outside. Go to the ATM. So basically, you're not employing anybody. What is your purpose? Because it seems your only purpose is to touch money when it leaves my pocket and go to somebody else, right? And then you have other organizations where you call them. Sometimes they're telecommunications company. You call them. You can't reach people. I'm calling you about my phone line,
Yeah.
and all I'm getting is a robot answering,
A chatbot, yeah.
and it sends me to nowhere.
Yeah.
These are problems that it irks me. Whereas, like, you're right, these are tools, but they're not helping because there's no human behind the tool.
Correct.
And so, sorry to go off on that, but like,
But I understand.
those things are upsetting. Anyway, when it comes to all
Back to
the-
compliance. Back
right,
to-
right, all these things are coming out of this is what you wrote about.
Yeah.
I was going to ask who is your book for, but now it feels like your book is your book for everybody, even persons outside of the financial sector, outside of the big money thing. Because if we're talking about compliance, I may not deal with $1 million, but if I have a business and I have people underneath me and there are rules that govern my industry, I should still be aware of how compliance works.
Yeah. So I am of the position that compliance creates culture. Okay. I'm a human first type of leader. Leader eats last type of person. Simon Sinek is my guy.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason why I say that is because what I understood is that the customer is getting upset because the message is, oh, compliance needs this, compliance needs that. So I said, let me write in a way that everybody can understand something that may seem theoretically complex. So the book is for everyone. If your season is a reminder, it's a different perception based on my experiences. If you're new, it is not a textbook, right? It was built of experiences from the boardroom in various jurisdictions. I'm talking about as far as being a part of the boardrooms in Singapore, in Jersey, in Delaware, in the Bahamas, in Cayman, in St. Lucia, in Aruba, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, training across 24 countries within our diaspora
Right.
and beyond. It's for everyone based on those experiences. It's not a textbook. I really think of it as just a cheat sheet.
Because people will be like, oh, wait, do I need to be
No,
an accredited accountant?
no.
To
You don't have to
fully-
be a CPA. You don't have to have your CAMs. You don't have to have the ICA, all of the other designations.
all
You
those
just have
things
to have
that
an
we don't
open
even know
mind.
what they are. But
You're right. You're right. Truth is, the compliance blueprint is simply a cheat sheet. My intern said to me, she said, Mr. Smith, never did compliance in her life. Okay, is an econ and geography student at the University of Toronto. She said to me, "You made me read this book, one chapter a day, right, throughout my 8 weeks at your organization. I understand now why we do and we are required to do what is happening."
I know I kind of asked this question before, right? Why is it important for the person on the ground to know this, to understand this?
Simply put, we are taught theoretically that tone comes from the top. Tone being the understanding, the strategy, the voice, the feeling. I posit a different position. Tone needs to be throughout an organization, and the customer is included as a stakeholder, because without that customer, you have no organization.
Right.
So everybody from the customer to the executive, the CEO or the chairman requires understanding at its basic level.
Do you have any hope that that will happen, that can happen? Because and while it would be great to have a compliance culture, we also have to keep in mind that we have a prevailing culture
Yes.
within the country. So with that realization, with knowing how the Bahamas works, in your heart, what do you think is the likelihood of us attaining that?
I think it is likely. If you want me to place a time frame on it, I don't have the research to even posit a position or postulate a position.
Right.
And I don't speak in anecdotes.
Okay.
That's what we have. We have a lot of anecdotal
Right.
evidence that's another.
Do this and
That's
that.
another another
But
conversation.
so how can, let's say I wouldn't say middle. Well, yeah, let's say middle or lower, within the industry,
Organizational
the
structure.
organization, right?
Uh-huh.
But I see where we're being reactive, right? People are complaining about something, and then we address just specifically that thing. When there's something slightly further upstream, if we fix that, we wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah.
How do I, from the position that I'm at, where I either have minimal oversight or no oversight at all? Because a lot of times the people on the floor will say, people always complain about this, they always returning this is a complaint.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this, whatever? How, from that position, what can I do? What would be your advice to that person?
Yeah. I would reposition my one-off thoughts that I present as a fact to kind of taking a note. Okay, every time we do this happens. So all of a sudden, over a matter of 3 months, we've had X amount of times that this has happened. This has impacted us this type of way, these amounts of times. If we, and I wouldn't use the word extrapolate, if we consider that particular set of time over a year, right? This is the potential
of how much
we may lose or how much we can make. When you start to empower people to understand shop talk,
right,
business talk, their supervisors, if they're worth their salt, if their managers, if they're worth their salt, will take that as somebody who's trying to provide a solution, just not complaining. Solutions tend to move versus complaints.
Yeah, because the complaints are But even the way you phrased that, because it never occurred to me. You're right. Anecdotal evidence is that people always say this. Somebody always coming for this. But now, if you're able to put a number and say, today alone, this many people.
We've seen 10 people.
Right.
And 4 of those persons
was about this.
And we'll call that material.
Right. And now, worse if you say, hold off on the thing for a week. Count how many people in a week it is. Because even if you say, let's say we're taking a store, a convenience store, you serve 100 people in a week. It's a small store. You'll sell a very niche part of a car. 100 people.
Yeah.
And out of the 100 people, 4 of them said they wanted this product, but they couldn't get it. That's 4%.
Yeah.
4% might not seem like a lot. But when we look at countries' GDP, people is bragging about 4% growth.
Yeah.
You understand? So, when you look at
the appearance of 4%.
Right. Well, yes.
Yeah.
The appearance of 4% growth.
Let's not talk economics.
Right.
But it's real GDP.
But when it's growth, 4% is significant. You can't get 4% interest in the bank.
No.
You got to go to a special financial vehicle to get 4% interest. But we losing 4%. And we're like, will we still have the 96%? But now framing it, like you said, in shop talk and business talk, that would change it. I'm being told that we have to wrap up. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, I want you to close up for us. You are watching and listening to Sidebar 103 podcast, powered by ILTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, the IL Cares Foundation invites you to our Back to School giveaway on August 23rd at the University of the Bahamas, Poinciana Drive entrance. Join us for a day of free school supplies, food, and fun as we help prepare students for a successful school year. We are also going to be on the Family Islands on August 23rd from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. All are welcome, so come on down and support the community with IL Cares. At IL Cares, we care.
Introducing Hands for Hunger's The Budget Gourmet, the sizzling new cooking show where 5-star flavor meets everyday ingredients. From pantry staples to farmers markets finds, join Chef Mo as we turn local, low-cost ingredients into gourmet magic, one dish at a time. Want your brand on the table? We're now inviting sponsors to be a part of this delicious journey. Get in early and let your name shine where flavor meets finesse. The Budget Gourmet, everyday ingredients with a gourmet twist.
The budget gourmet. We're making it sweet, low cost meals you can't defeat. Tastes so good, it makes you move. Hands for hunger is in the groove.
The budget gourmet. Welcome to Sidebar 103 podcast, powered by ILTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. We're here with Derek Smith, author of The Compliance Blueprint. Derek, you have the final 2 minutes. What do you want to leave the audience with?
So firstly, thank you, Stephen, for the opportunity to discuss a topic that I am passionate about and is often misunderstood. What I want to say to the audience is that compliance is not a restrictive arm of an organization. Compliance is actually, in my opinion, the chief collaborator because they work with all of the different aspects of the organization while appreciating what is the regulatory environment or what are the rules of the sandbox with a compliance outfit that is understanding risk and understanding people. They can actually be a benefit for your organization. They can increase returns for your organization. They can actually help to have a more happier culture in your organization. Persons want to reach me, they can reach me at on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook, all consistent, Derek W. Smith Jr., or hello at pineapplebusinessconsultancy.com. The book is available at All Seasons Bahamas bookstore and gifts, which is located in Palmdale and also on Amazon. I am available for governance, risk, or compliance opportunities to learn. I don't like to say presentations because they're very interactive.
Right.
You have to teach me and I have to teach you, and based on our collective experiences, we create the culture that your organization wants. Also available for international speaking opportunities as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Derek.
Derek.
Thank you so much for your time. I feel like there was more, so we may have to come back. But thank you so much. And thank you for listening and joining us. This has been Sidebar 103 The B Podcast, powered by ILTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. True God still.
Tired of driving around from place to place just to get your car insured and licensed? Frustrated with the process of being back and forth from your insurance company to road traffic? Well, BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers just made insuring and licensing your motor vehicle as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1. Visit us at the Road Traffic Department, Section 1, Thomas A. Robinson Sports Stadium. At our office, you can purchase or renew your insurance or get your vehicle inspected. We at BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers represent major carriers. Step 2. See the professionals at Road Traffic to get your vehicle licensed. Step 3. Enjoy your day. Insure with BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers today, saving you time and money. Your one-stop shop for all of your insurance needs. Great rates, convenient, excellent service. For more information, call us at 322-2221.
So you want a space. But not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?